Please like, share, and subscribe. Hello all of my YouTube friends, and in this video we are talking about House of the Dragon Season 2's finale's episode. This episode left me a little bit baffled, in the sense that this episode is full, it's rich, it's got a lot of interesting things going on that you do not want to miss. And I don't know if it's because of the writer's strike, but there is one scene at the end of this episode where that left me a little bit like this just doesn't feel right. And then as a season finale, especially after season one's finale, where there was this huge cliffhanger, like one of the best I've seen in a long time, this one left me wanting more. Is this how it's ending? But anyways, I'm not going to break the entire episode down. I'll just go through the main lines, what caught my eye. So, spoilers alert, let's get to it. So basically, the episode starts off with one of the Lannisters, the one that is on the committee, the small committee, and he is tasked to be an ambassador and try to recruit some pirates to go and face off the naval blockade. And he comes across this situation where they're saying, okay, but only if you take our commander, Commander Lohar, with you. So he meets Lohar. There's this, they want to build up this chemistry between them. I'm a little bit confused here about Commander Lohar because they introduce him as a him, but obviously it looks like a she. And at the end, he's like, I want you to sleep with my wives because I want a kid from you. I was like, okay, this is interesting. I don't know where this is going. Probably a build up eventually. But I mean, if you're talking about kids and descendants, we are so, seasons and seasons, and this is going to be another story eventually. But it was kind of interesting to see the chemistry here play out on screen. Then we move to this beautiful dragon shot where you definitely see Aemon frustrated of losing the balance of power, like he has less dragons now, and he just burns one of these castles to the ground. Clearly frustrated, and it will be interesting to see how his frustrations will play out. But we do know that he doesn't have the patience. He just wants the glory right away. I can't get into too many details here, but let's move on to the next scene. King Aegon on his bed, disfigured, and his master of whispers is telling him, yes, your brother is losing it, and obviously his life is threatened, is in danger. So the master of whispers is trying to convince the king to run away, hide somewhere, let this war blow over. Maybe you'll have a destiny as a rebuilder, as a visionary. Let things blow over, stay low, stay hidden, stay safe, and stay alive. Basically, that's the message that he's trying to convey here. And reluctantly, he will convince the king to leave. So in the next scene, we have Prince Jacaerys, meeting with the new dragon riders. And there's an uneasiness here. These are not noble men, and they don't necessarily know how to behave. There's going to be friction here. Luckily, his wife's going to convince him to stand by his mother and be the good son. And he's going to have to swallow his pride here to make things work. It's, I guess he's learning that you can't always have it your way. You do have to make concessions to win the war and just prepare to have to deal with the aftermath in some ways. But concentrate on the task ahead and keep in the back of your mind what's coming and find your way throughout this. Personally, I think everybody's going to end up dying anyways, but that's for another review, I guess. Then you have Queen Rhaenyra talking to her hand, and she thinks that maybe having more dragons will create this kind of stalemate, and maybe the enemy will conclude that they cannot win the war. But we know how war goes on. Nobody wants to admit defeat, nobody wants to concede. And her hand is convincing him that, look, war is an ugly thing. We need to do ugly things. It's going to be bloody. No matter how you want to be person or the good hero in this story, things are not going to work out as you planned. And, just get ready because we are about. You're going to have to do ugly things and be prepared to do those. Cut to another scene. Corlys and Aelin are really getting into a heated discussion here. The bastard son grew up with nothing, no food, nothing. And he saw his father having all these riches, having everything. Now that he lost all of his loved ones, he lost his son, he lost his wife, now that he's got nothing, he's trying to cling onto something. And Aelin sees this. It's not that his father is interested in him, is that his father is trying to grasp onto a reason for going on, a reason to live on, and he doesn't want to have any part of it. He sees the situation for what it is, and he just wants to be his own man. He grew up from nothing, and he doesn't want to rely on anybody for anything. I really like this discussion being so frank. I mean, the truth is never easy to hear, but I do think that Corliss really listened and he heard the message in this one. Then there is this one scene that left me. We were seeing this coming. I did not know exactly how this was going to play out. Kind of tension between Elena and Amon. I was wondering if they did not have like a secret relationship. But Amon is definitely frustrated. He wants to get back the balance of power. He wants more dragons, more dragon riders. Elena has her dragon. She just doesn't want to use it to kill anybody. She doesn't always seem there, and we learn in this episode why. She has these visions, and she can communicate and talk throughout these visions. So sometimes she has like this blank stare, but she's communicating with the visions, which is, we kind of understand in this episode a little bit more about this. Which brings me to one of the best parts of this episode, Damon. Finally, he goes and sees one of these trees. I don't know what they're called. We see them throughout even the Game of Thrones. These, these trees normally give visions to visionaries, but somehow he is able to tap into this tree and it reveals a vision to him. And he sees the winter coming and the Night King and everybody dying, dragons dying, people dying. And he kind of sees what is going on. And he sees like glimpses into the future, which is also rare because normally apparently these trees go into the past or the recent environment of what these trees see. So it's not quite evident or understood why he's getting these visions from the future, but he sees the queen on the throne. So he knows that he is playing a part. He sees Elena in his vision, and she tells him, you are just playing a part in the story. The story is not about you. There's something bigger going on. That's why things are unfolding as they are. And he gets it. I thought that, maybe the witch was giving him visions or whatnot. Maybe it is two different, separate things. Maybe it's this tree that was trying to communicate with him. That's still a lot of unknowns. But this vision really reveals his role in what is to come. And obviously, he's been building an army, and Rhaenyra comes on her dragon, sees this massive army that Damon has gathered. Obviously, she's still not sure if he's on her side or if he's gonna, make a claim to the throne for himself. And when they meet up, it is just a beautiful scene. I like the decors, I liked everything, I liked the ambiance, I liked the way that it was executed. It was really grandiose. It was also like heartfelt. And he tells her, I understand what you were trying to tell me about the story. And he tells her, I got the vision. I've seen what you were talking about. I see what's coming ahead. I now know my role in this story. And it just makes for. I like to see, I liked the fact that I really like how these two came back together. I mean, I think this is a duo team that is just gonna be awesome later on, which I'm anxious to get to. Now we get to the scene where I have a lot of issues here. And like I said, I don't know if it's because of the writer's strike. The scene between Alicent, who left King's Landing, kind of make amends. She wants to be forgiven for all of her sins. Obviously, nothing she can do can atone, but she's trying to. And she's also coming up with this idea of how to get to her atonement. She's like, my son, Regent, will be leaving King's Landing. Please take that time to come in. I'll tell the guards to lay down the weapons, and you can sit on the throne and claim the throne. She is seeing things through, pink glasses because that's that's a terrible plan. Obviously, it's not going to work out like that. There's still going to be bloodshed. It, in theory, it's a beautiful thing, but in reality and practice, it's not something that is easily done. And just the dialogue, because, Rhaenyra is trying to explain to her, well, I have to take the head of the king, the usurper, to claim the throne. And Alicent is like, you can see the struggle here, but she's like, okay, you can take the head of my son, which goes against her character because throughout both seasons now, she's done everything to protect her children. This does not make any sense. Not only that, but Rhaenyra is also like, no, it's a son for a son. But there's already been too many sons that have died on both sides here. So it's like they're forgetting certain elements that have happened. The dialogue is feels off in general. I understand the scene. I understand the scene, and I get where you can see the emotions. It's just like it doesn't quite fit. The scene would have needed a little bit better writing and the discussions going maybe a little bit right, left, and center. You do see, though, that these two individuals, these two girls, love one another. They've had their differences, they deeply care for one another, and I I don't really know how this is going to play out later on. It was a nice touch, it just wasn't executed to my liking here. So then finally, we get to the buildup. We see all these armies gathering, all these armies walking. For a couple of episodes now, I've been wondering what has happened to Odo Hightower. We kind of have a little glimpse of what his situation is, but all we see is all these arming, all we see is these armies building up, walking, the naval fleets gathering up. It's we are heading towards the war, the battles. So, unfortunately, that's where it ends. No cliffhanger, no nothing. I understand. I understand that there's budget restrictions. I understand that they've had to cut this season short of 2 episodes. Personally, I think it's because they are heading towards maybe a 5th season overall. So this series might last 10 years if a season comes out every 2 years. So it kind of feels like a long time to wait, given that there's no real cliffhanger at the end, no wow movement, no wow moment. So it's it was just a lot of cutscenes here and there. You see something building up, but nothing dramatic, nothing shocker has happened. Which I'm looking forward to the next episode, but having to wait 2 years, I think I would have liked like a little something more. But that is just my opinion. Let me know yours in the comments down below. If you liked the video, don't forget to subscribe. If you didn't like it, thank you so much for listening this long. Hopefully, I'll see you in the next video. Until then, check these out.